Scrabble is a registered trademark of Hasbro Incorporated and Mattel. This video is not associated with either company or its affiliates. That said, one of my goals is to spread the joy of Scrabble. Do you play Scrabble? Or do you at least know the rules of the game? If so, I think you'll enjoy this video. In 1993, the inventor of Scrabble, Alfred Mosher Butz, passed away at the age of 93. On a happier note, though, it was in that year that the second WSC was held, the World Scrabble Championship. In preparation, experts in North America studied tens of thousands of British words that weren't in our dictionary, while British experts studied tens of thousands of words not in theirs. And players from most other participating countries were already playing with both dictionaries, even if not in their native tongue. Across the pond, they use the OSW, the official Scrabble words. In North America, we use the OSPD, the official Scrabble Players Dictionary. We still do. This is the OSPD softcover edition and hardcover edition. The same book, this is just larger print. Now, we can also compare the softcover OSPD, the American source, with the softcover OSW, British source. The OSPD contains brief definitions. The OSW is words only, but it goes up to 9-letter root words as opposed to only 8-letter root words. So there's a trade-off. But overall, the OSW, the British source, has a lot more words in it than the American dictionary. Now I got a trick question for you. If you had a hardcover OSW that contained not only all the words as this one does, but it also contained full definitions of all those words, how big would that book be? Well, we don't have to guess. So I happen to have one right here. This is the hardcover OSW. Big, beautiful book. Almost too big to carry. And it's extremely rare, as you probably figured out. For purposes of referring to the body of words in its totality, OSW and OSPD were combined and anagrammed into SOW PODS, saupods. Today, this combined word source is referred to as Collins Scrabble Words, or CSW, or simply Collins. Recently, it has gained quite a following. Even in North America, there are separate Collins divisions and championships. In the rest of this video, I'm going to provide definitions for most of the longer words. If you are a hardcore Scrabble player, you probably won't care. But for the rest of you viewers, I believe definitions will add some color to the analysis. Hope so. The 1993 World Scrabble Championship was held from August 27th to August 30th in New York City. I flew in 3 days early at the kind invitation of my longtime friend, Joe Edley. Keep in mind that Joe has won 3 national Scrabble championships. One in 1980, one in 1992, and one in the year 2000. So when I visited him in Long Island in '93, he was the reigning national champion. Joe and I were 2 of the 10 players in North America who had qualified for the World Championship based on having the highest ratings. To warm up for the big event, Joe and I played a couple dozen sparring games. From those sessions, I selected 6 positions. later published in my Scrabble newsletter, Medleys. In each position, an OSW only word is part of the best play. We have on the board position 1. This was my rack at the bottom of the screen. If you are familiar with Collins and would like to challenge yourself, pause the video now and look for the best play. Otherwise, feel free just to sit back and enjoy the show. Ew, a 7-vowel rack. If this had been OSPD only, I would have exchanged tiles. As it was, I had EUOUAE. Can you see anywhere to play that word? Pause the video again if you like. EUOUAE is a Latin abbreviation for Secularum Amen. And the spot that you can play it is right here. Of course, you have to know all the 2-letter words you're making at the same time, otherwise you won't be able to play it. EA is an OSW word, and OI is another OSW word. The rest of these are already in OSPD, UT, UN, AG. Now, I did have to stick myself with a U in making that play, but even that worked out for me because on the very next turn, I drew the Q and played quints for 54 points. By the way, there are a few English chant books that make use of the abbreviation OIOUEAE to represent the 7 vowels in World Without End Amen. However, that word, whatever you may think of it, is not part of the Collins lexicon. I guess it's because Latin has been around longer. I'm kidding. And that brings us to position 2. This was Joe's rack at the bottom of the screen. Pause the video and have a look, or not, as you wish. An interesting sequence of events preceded this position. Let's take my last play off. And we'll take Joe's last play off. And this was Joe's rack 2 turns ago, his last turn. There are several bingos through which you can play an 8-letter bingo, several letters, but none of them are open. The R is the closest. You can play inverter. If this isn't here, you can play inverter this way or inverter this way, but DORAD blocks that. So Joe thought of trying re-invert for a bingo. And from my point of view, if I had assuming I had my wits about me, I would not have challenged that because it allows me to play this triple taniate for 131 points. If I challenge reinvert off and I play taniate here, he can come back with reinvite. And on balance, on net, I come out 82 points ahead, having played taniate. I don't get the benefit of the extra turn, but 82 points is worth more than that extra turn. So I would not have challenged. But anyway, Joe thought better of playing reinvert, and instead he played vine, which is a nice fishing play. He was down on the score about 75 points. And this opens up another spot, and it gives him a very good rack leave of TER. So after he did that, I can now play Tiny A, which is a OSPD 7-letter word, either above or below the A, here or here. And the definition of that, according to the OSPD, is headbands worn in ancient Greece. But I also knew the OSW 8-letter word, taniate. This is only in the OSW, and it refers to a ribbon-like structure. So that's the play I made. And that's when Joe drew these 4 letters to his rack, and that anagrams into hunters. This is the same rack I showed you earlier, but I've anagrammed it for you. And that can be played. Also, there are other anagrams available that can be played, other bingos. But Joe shocked me with this word. Why was I shocked? You see where you can play it? Pause the video again if you like, but here goes. So I knew the word shunter. So the word itself didn't shock me, but the placement of the word shocked me. He created 8 words at the same time, 1 here and 7 2-letter words. And the only word that's not in the OSPD at the time was TE. It's in the OSPD now in the 6th edition, but it was not in the 2nd edition, which we were playing with. All the other words are OSPD words. So that was stunning. It does remind me of something, though. It reminds me of an old folk tale. Once upon a time in a Scrabble club far, far away, player 1 opened with halala, which is a Saudi Arabian coin. Player 2 said, I'm going to have to examine that one, thereby creating a 7-letter word here and 7 2-letter words. Player 1 responded, when you examine your opponent's coin, he simply remints. And player 2 retorted, in that case, I'll just throw a blanket over the whole thing. And that's how it came to pass that a 7-letter word was played and 7 4-letter words at the same time. This, of course, is a composition. It didn't really happen, as far as I know. That brings us to position 3. This was my rack at the bottom of the screen. Feel free to pause the video and have a close look, or not, as you wish. If there had been an open E, I could have played guttlers, which refers to people that eat voraciously like I do. However, that E is not open. It's blocked by this word here. Fortunately, there is a way to bail out of this rack thanks to OSW. I played trug, which is an OSPD word. It means a wooden basket. But notice that it hooks onto the front of razor, which is the act of being erased. So I get to play this on a double word score, and I get to pick up all the points from that word as well. We arrive at position 4. This was Joe's rack at the bottom of the screen. Pause the video and have a close look, or not, as you wish. Here, holding 3 sets of duplicate tiles, Joe found the only bingo available. The 65-point noneto, which pertains to an ensemble of 9 musical instruments or voices. If you don't find or know this OSW word, then you'll be left playing a different tune. T-O-O-N for 16 points. Position 5. This was my rack at the bottom of the screen. Pause the video and have a close look, or not, as you wish. Why am I showing you this position? For what reason? That's a hint. It pays to know your words with high pointer tiles. Here, I was able to play reason with the Z on the double letter score on the triple word for 84 points. Which turned the game around. This OSW word means thin and withered, and can be found, for example, in the works of Charles Dickens. Last one, position 6. This is an end game. The bag is empty. As all good experts do, Joe and I have tracked the tiles, and we know what each other are holding. I know that Joe has this final rack, the 7 tiles at the bottom of the screen, and he knows that I have these 6 tiles at the top of the screen. Joe trails the game by 15 points. How can he win? Feel free to pause the video and have a close look, or not, as you wish. It pays to know your vowel dumps. Under the usual pressure of the clock, Joe was able to pull off an efficient combination, starting with the OSW AIDOI, pronounced idoi, I think, and it's the plural of eidos, which is a Greek term for respect. This threatens to go out with ZEE down here in the corner for 30 points. Unfortunately for me, with this rack, I'm looking at trying to block this, but the OSW Latin-derived word pronounced fake it, believe it or not, a way of identifying artwork, does not take an S on the end of it. Otherwise, I could have scored enough to win by blocking ZEE for a slim win. As it was, the best I had was Mills here, allowing Joe to play his ZEE and win 450 to 437. By the way, Joe could have also played the anagram of idoi, just moving the I to here. IAIDO is also an OSW only word. It's a Japanese modern martial art. That would similarly have won. Oidia is another anagram. but it ends with the wrong vowel. So that wouldn't have worked. Note, however, if Joe grabs the highest scoring ZEE play first, I win by playing dill, D-I-L-L, blocking his 5-letter word and magically leaving dual outplace of Merles. And if he blocks that one, I have Gorms. And that wins. Or if he starts with EE here, he plays here, creating a second spot for EDOI, A-I-D-O-I. So he's got 2 spots. Then I'm able to score enough points, MILS, 25 points, and the game ends up in a tie. In other words, the proper move order in this game, playing the 5-letter word first, as Joe did, is critical. Well, that wraps up my reminiscence, at least for now. If you would like me to make more Scrabble videos, please like and/or subscribe below, down there. Thank you.